What if I told you the single most powerful skill for any leader isn't about doing more or acting faster? What if it's actually about doing nothing? Just for a second. Today, we're diving into the incredible power of that intentional space before you act. We're talking about the leader's pause.
This idea, often credited to the incredible Viktor Frankl, just gets right to the heart of it all. It's that tiny little gap, that space, that separates a knee-jerk reaction from a thoughtful response. And believe me, learning to master that space, well, it changes everything.
So that's the big question we're really going to tackle here. What if the real secret to being a great leader isn't about having all the answers on the spot, but it's about mastering that tiny moment of pause?
Okay, let's start with what I call the reaction problem. Think about a leader's day. It's just a constant flood of things coming at you, right? A tough email, some unexpected feedback, a project that's suddenly going off the rails. Our default setting, for most of us, is to just get trapped in this endless cycle of immediate gut-level reactions.
And the difference here is it's night and day. On one side, you've got that reactive leadership. It's totally driven by stress. It creates confusion, burns people out, and just destroys trust. But on the other side, you have responsive leadership. This is intentional. It's about feeling that same stress or frustration, but choosing how you're going to act. And that right there is what builds the kind of psychological safety that lets a team do amazing things.
So the big question is, how do we actually master that space? We're going to break down a code really built on 3 pillars that all connect. And it has to start with the inner work, the absolute foundation of leadership, mastering your own attention.
The number one tool for this is the pause. Now, this is not a sign of weakness or that you're indecisive, not at all. It is a trainable skill. Think of it like a strategic timeout that lets you switch from running on autopilot to making an intentional, conscious choice.
And here's where it gets really fascinating. There's real science behind this. Our brains have something called the default mode network. You can kind of think of it as your brain's autopilot. It's what's running when your mind is wandering and you're just reacting to stuff automatically. The incredible insight here is that practices like mindfulness can literally quiet this network down. For a leader, this isn't just about feeling a little more zen. It's about shifting from a state of mental noise to one of real strategic clarity. It lets you see the whole chessboard instead of just reacting to the last move.
And you can literally start training the skill right now. Here is a super simple but really powerful tool to create that pause. It's the 4-8 breath. We can try it right now. Just breathe in quietly through your nose for a count of 4. Hold it for a second, and now a long, slow exhale through your mouth for a count of 8. Doing that just 2 or 3 times sends a direct signal to your nervous system to chill out, giving you that precious space to choose your next move.
And let's be super clear about something. Self-regulation is not about pretending you're not angry or frustrated. It's not suppression. It's about acknowledging those feelings, letting yourself feel them without letting them drive the car. It's about feeling the emotion and then deciding how you want to act in a way that actually lines up with your goals and your values.
Okay, so that's pillar 1, getting a handle on your own internal state. Pillar 2 builds right on top of that. Once you can manage your own attention, you can then turn your focus outward to really deepen your awareness of other people and the whole situation around you.
The core skill for this is active listening. And this is not just being quiet while you wait for your turn to talk. It's a genuine hunt for the truth. I mean, look at Anne Mulcahy, who took over as CEO of Xerox when it was about to go bankrupt. She spent her first few months just traveling around and listening to employees. That was not a PR stunt. That was pure data collection. That deep, active listening gave her the raw, unfiltered truth she needed to make smart, responsive decisions instead of just making reactive, panicked cuts. And this quote from Satya Nadella just nails it. When he took over Microsoft, he knew the culture had to shift from a bunch of know-it-alls to a company of learn-it-alls. And you absolutely cannot make that shift without a deep foundation of listening. He understood that being decisive doesn't come from being the loudest person in the room, it comes from having the deepest understanding.
All right, so we've gone from mastering our internal world with attention to mastering our perception of the external world with awareness. This final pillar, authenticity, is where you bring those two together. It's where your actions become a true, reliable reflection of who you are and what you stand for.
Being authentic means your values aren't just some words on a poster in the break room. They are your internal compass. They're what guides every single decision. And when your team sees that consistency, when what you do matches what you say, it builds this incredible, unshakable foundation of trust. It's what makes your leadership work even when you're not in the room.
And this isn't some new age isolated theory. When you look at other really powerful leadership models like servant leadership, you find the exact same DNA. Whether you start with a focus on serving others, or you start with a focus on your own self-awareness, you end up in the same place, a human-centered approach that builds high-trust teams where people can truly thrive.
And this fits perfectly with all the amazing research from people like Brené Brown. Vulnerability and authenticity, they're not weaknesses, they are absolute strengths. Acknowledging your own emotions and managing them mindfully, that's pillar one, right? That is what creates the space for real empathy and connection. And those are the cornerstones of trust.
Okay, this all sounds great, but how do we actually put this code of attention, awareness, and authenticity to work in the real world, especially when things are getting intense? Let's break down 2 super practical frameworks that are basically powered by these pillars.
First up, we've got the REDAC model. This is perfect for when you have to have one of those difficult conversations. See how it forces you to pause? Instead of jumping in and reacting, you start by relating. That's using your awareness to build a human connection. Then you empathize to understand the real feelings going on. It's only after you diagnose the root cause that you finally act with a clear decision that's aligned with your values, that's authenticity, and then you communicate it clearly and honestly. This is a process that can turn a conflict into a moment of connection.
The second tool is the 5 whys. It's so simple, but it is an incredibly powerful way to get past the surface-level symptoms of a problem. This requires attention, the focus to not just accept the first easy answer. By asking why over and over, you start peeling back the layers of the onion. In this example, you see the problem wasn't the tool at all. It was actually a leadership failure to collaborate. This technique stops you from wasting time solving the wrong problem again and again.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The true power of your leadership isn't just in the actions you take, it's in the space you create before you take them. By mastering your attention, deepening your awareness, and leading with true authenticity, you can turn that tiny space from an unconscious reaction into your single greatest strategic advantage. So the only question left is, how will you choose to use it?